Welcome to the Speed Skating Data Podcast, the place where sports science and data analysis meet inline speed skating, the first podcast entirely dedicated to the inline speed skating world. Want to stay ahead of the game? Visit www.speed-skating-data.com to explore our race analysis, training programs, and coaching services. Sign up for free to stay updated with the latest news. For real-time insights and in-depth breakdowns, follow us on Instagram at speed.skating.data. And don't forget, you can listen to Speed Skating Data Podcast on Spotify or watch us on YouTube at the Speed Skating Data channel. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
So, I started skating since I was almost 4, but when I was a kid, I started as a figure skater. So I have a photo here when I was a kid.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yes, I started skating, but like in Hong Kong, it's very small, so we only skate in a very small skating rink, which is like less than 100 meters.
Okay.
So like it's funny when you call me an international skater. Because like everyone would be saying that like, oh, you always travel a lot for skating. Wow, you're so lucky, blah blah blah. Well, I know I'm very grateful, like all the opportunities that I can travel a lot and skating in a lot of places. Like for example, since 15, I started more with speed skating because I was a figure skater. And then since I was 15, I go to because I want to do better in skating. So I start going to different places because in Hong Kong we don't have a standard track. We don't have a really place for people to skate. So if you see my reels or my photos, if I trade in Hong Kong, it's only in a football court or in a cycling path. And if I skate on a football court, usually I got kicked out by the police because it's a football court and they're like, oh, you're not supposed to skate here. It's very dangerous for people. And yeah, if you follow me, you probably have seen me being very angry at the police sometimes. So that's the reason how I started like traveling for skating because I want to do better. And it's like in Hong Kong, you don't really have the opportunities to be better. So that's how I started. So, since I was 15, I started going to Taiwan for training for months, but that only happens when don't have school, when I have my school holidays. So the chances are, like that. So, like, if you've seen like the results of the skater from Hong Kong, it's not very outstanding because we really don't have the facilities. And well, why I switched from Taiwan to Europe is because of COVID. Everything was closed in Asia since COVID. So that's how I started to go to the Netherlands, the Belgium, and also have a year being in Italy. That was really nice as well. So yes. Hey, wait, what am I talking about? So there's a little background of why I'm like an international skater myself. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was exhaustive actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
because I think not a lot of people really know me, but kind of know who I am, but don't really know who I am. Probably just Asian face who speak English, so I think that's how people know me. So I want to do a little background so people kind of know who I am, why I'm doing this, and yeah, I think clear the air is a little bit better for my background. Yes.
Yeah, it's nice. It's interesting. I mean, it's the first question for a reason. We need a little bit of background, of course. And you already touched a theme, which is the facilities and the difficulties in having a good facility. It's not just Hong Kong. I mean, for speed skating, is difficult to have a good track to train in. Here in Italy, we struggle too. We got lots of good venues for skating, but if you skate area, for example, we are not allowed to go to the street. Okay, sometimes we fight with the police a little bit too. So it's of course when you grow older, you start getting faster. You need a very good facility. Otherwise, street is the only option.
Oh, but because I was staying in Italy for a while, for a few months, last year, was it last year? The year before,
Okay.
and I realized there's a lot of tracks in Italy, but at the same time, like if you don't have a car, it's really hard to get there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, and Italy is such a long country, so if you want to race, you have to go like take trains for hours to be there. It's like you also have tracks in your own country, but you don't, it's not that easy to be there. Like if you want to go for training, you actually need to drive for like at least 20 or half an hour or even an hour to be there. So it's actually also harder than I thought as well. Even though you have tracks in your own country, which we don't have, but yeah, if we have to go to China, maybe also like an hour and a half, we can have a track, but yeah, going to China is not my favorite.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's totally understandable. I mean, yeah, it's a big thing for speed skating everywhere, I believe. I mean, this December I went with my team in Geisingen to train because of
Yeah.
course you know to take into account also the weather, and Geisingen it's indoor, so weather is always fantastic.
Yeah, in Hong Kong and winter is the best, but we don't have a track. So
Yeah.
even we have the fantastic weather, it's still not the best place to train.
Okay. So when if you think about the way you train, can you sum up maybe with just a phrase, and then we will cover it a little bit in depth. How would you describe your training in Hong Kong?
How do I describe my training in Hong Kong?
Yeah.
I would say it's very difficult if you
Okay.
want to be in a high level.
Hmm.
And first of all, like we don't have a track. Well, we have a very small skating rink, which is like less than 100 meters. So, which means if you have indoor in your own country, for example, I went to Belgium, I've seen like the indoor similar to that and a little bit more
Okay.
slippery. So if you want to try to like do high speed, this is impossible. First, it's really small. Second, there's a lot of amateurs there. So if you go try to go fast and suddenly there's an amateur go in, you cause accident. So this is not an ideal place to train. And second, for training, so we try to go like a football court, which is similar size of an indoor, which is
Okay.
pretty nice for us. But then we first of all we have to rent it, or else you're not allowed to do it. Second of all, so sometimes I train by myself. Like most of the time, I train alone because not everyone would train in the morning like me. And yeah, police would kick you out because or people like old people try to like run around. You have to slow down. You have to slow
Yeah.
down. So that's also another struggle. The best is go to cycling path, but if you go on the weekends, there's a lot of people. People
Mhm.
will be yelling at you. People will be like, "Why are you doing this?" Which never happened to me. People were very supportive, like to me when I was in training in Hong Kong, because I was skating behind the cyclists. They were so impressed. But if you're an amateur, I think that's not as the best idea or environment to train. But Hong Kong is very lucky. We always travel a lot, so I can travel to Taiwan, I can go to China for training. So, yeah, so that's the thing. And also because in Hong Kong, like especially Asia, everyone is talking about academics, everything about schools. So if you're not doing well at school, you're not allowed to go out to do sports because school is more important. So it's not just the environment, the facilities, but also the mindset is kind of an obstacle for Asians or Hong Kong people to grow as a sport or an athlete.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, yeah, that makes perfectly sense. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, is it just because you have to focus a lot on study, or is it because they do not support professional sports athletes?
I think it's in both because for people like in Hong Kong, like for example, people after school, it's not like Europe. And after school, you always have activities. You have to do maybe extra lessons for the math, like the Kumon, if you've heard of it. You have maybe like I've heard all the kids they have Chinese class, English class, math class, coding class. You sports is never their priorities because it doesn't help with their academic. It doesn't help with their career and when they go older. So so if you're focusing so like sports is never like being professional athletes is never their priority. So that's also an obstacle. But
Yeah.
now it's like getting a little bit better because we have world champion in fencing, cycling, but still it's not the best environment to be an athlete in Hong Kong.
Yeah, it's actually something I had the opportunity to see because I in my local team here in Italy there are three young skaters, three brothers that they come
Mm.
from China, and so I remember the first year when they were extremely young. I mean, like 8, 9 years. They used to go to school in Italy and then have the extra classes with the Chinese school after. So it was very busy for them. Try to training and all the stuff. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, this is very Asian. Like not just in Hong Kong, but like also in Taiwan. I'm pretty sure Japan and Korea as well. So yeah, it's difficult.
Nice.
That's one of the reasons why I think because Asians are not very into it, or maybe like this. So we only have I don't know if you know that Asian Championships is only once every 2 years.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And you had to travel. I mean, the last championship. Did you participate in it? Didn't it? Didn't
In
you?
Italy?
No, it in
In China.
yeah.
No, I did not go there because we have a national games which is like pretty big in Hong Kong. So I try to focus on that and being in World Championships, there's a risk of falling because I fell quite a lot for the last 2 years already. So
Mhm.
I try to avoid it and also like it's better for my training so I can peak at the national games so I was not there.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 And you told me before that you of course you train alone the majority of the time.
Yeah.
Is it how is it? I mean, I once again I understand a little bit about that because I've always been with my with my team with my local team actually, but I grew up as the oldest skater, so I always the majority of the time I was training alone or maybe with the other skaters but just behind me, and so how does it translate into how does it help or hinder your performance? I mean,
How does it affect my performance by
yeah,
training alone?
yeah.
Well, it takes up a lot of determination and discipline and a lot of things because not as you might see like you don't really see a lot of like skater from Hong Kong. So um and what I want to do is I want to see how far I can go. So if I want to do something, I have to do it alone. So yeah, sometimes I didn't realize how much I want to improve in the sports. I know my result might be the best, might not be the best, sorry. But then I know what I'm trying to do and I want to do better, so I always have to source things out for myself. So in a way that there's a lot of things that I cannot do because I have to train alone, so maybe the intensity I can like keep pushing. Like when I was alone and training alone and I see a lot of reels and videos online that the Colombians are training together, they're training camps together. I'm so jealous of that because I'm always alone, but at the same time there's a lot of flexibility in my training. So if I want to do something so I can have trained a little bit earlier and at the same time, oh, if I want to go to Taiwan for training, I just go by myself. I connect with the local clubs and then try to go with the coaches, contact them, and or if I want to go to Europe, I go by myself, so I don't have to take care of others as well. So there's pros and cons in a lot of things. So, but for training might not be the best, but um, that actually also took me to a different level of how to be better or in a as a person how to organize my stuff as well.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, yeah, it's cool. It's interesting. One of the hardest thing of training alone is that you are not as followed by someone. I mean, what about your coaching? Do you have a coach? Do you have a technical staff or something like that, or do you learn on your own?
So like in the past, so like I said, when I was training in Taiwan since I was 15 before COVID time, I basically just train in Taiwan and I just follow what they're doing. So when I was there, they train like 3 times a day. They train 6 days a week. Only on Sunday they do easier training. But like what they were doing is just basically on skates. And when I was there, I did feel like I improved, but at the same time I did not know what I was doing because I was just following what they're doing.
Hmm.
So I try. So for me, my mindset was like, I'm never good enough. I just want to improve. So that was the problem. So since COVID, I started going to Europe. I also followed the club training in Europe. It's not just skating, but also like the cycling and everything. And that kind of changed my mindset, but still not the best because I don't have my own coach. I don't know what's going on. I just follow what they're doing. And since last year, I have a coach to write my program and stuff, so I kind of know what's going on, and then that gives me a little bit confidence.
Okay, let's start thinking about the differences between the two continents. What were the biggest differences, and what do you like about training in Asia versus training in Europe, and what you don't like?
Well, the favorite thing of training Asia is I understand what they're saying because it's the same language ish.
Okay.
But what I actually I quite happy when I was there because we trained 3 times a day. We put on skates. So when I was in Hong Kong, I never get a chance to skate on a track. So for me, that was like a wow golden opportunity. So I was so excited. We trained, yeah, day before they go to school, after school, and before after dinner. So it was like a game changer for me at that time. And but even though I don't know what that was going, they were like doing like 50 laps with really fast lap time. I think it was like 15 or 16. It was like all the laps was 15 and I couldn't even follow, but for me it was like, ooh, wow. But then for me it's always training hard in Asia. So that's the way of Taiwanese training. So sometimes I went to China, but because some Koreans were there because it was too cold in Korea for training. So the Korean way of training is also insane. So it's a lot of training. So before breakfast, they do like half an hour running and then do 100 laps for training. And then in the afternoon, they do cables and jumps and then they put on skate another 100 laps or 200 laps. I was like, oh, wow, this kind of training is insane, but wow, cool experience, cool experience. I would never reach that level. But for me, it's like, oh, cool experience. They're so strong, blah, blah, blah. So in my mindset was all I want is to improve, nothing else. But when I start going to Europe, everyone's like training. There's a lot of European Cubs. I was like, oh, everyone's just trying very hard. Even though, oh, because when I was in Hong Kong, when I was training in Taiwan, when I was training in Asia, I never thought of be able to pass or be able to reach to their level. But in Europe, the mindset is totally different. Like, for example, when I was in Italy, they were telling me, like, anything can happen. You don't have to be scared. You have to be a little bit more aggressive. I'm too soft. So they're like, you have to go a little bit more aggressive. And I was like, oh, I did not know that. There's a lot of mind changing when I was in Europe. And also, like, there's a lot of European Cups. So I got to train and race in Europe. And in Europe they don't just do a lot of skating, they do other stuff and they don't train as much. They don't train 3 times a day. They don't train 7 days a week. And I was like, is that enough? At the beginning I was doubting myself, but then also like I could see myself improving way more than before. And also my mindset was changing, and that's how I couldn't keep up with my mind because I didn't know I was improving this much. While my mom's like, oh, I don't think I'm good enough. Like, that's the mindset about like Asian and Europeans, I think. And yes, I think when I was in Europe, the mindset of racing is a lot stronger than training. So
Okay.
so like the mindset of Asians, they always say that I have to be stronger, I have to be stronger. But in Europe, they more like how do I win the race? How the tactics and stuff like this. That's the huge difference that I could see from the last years from the difference between the Asians and the Europeans.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, you can see it even on the tracks, even on the races. There are very strong Asian skaters that maybe don't win that much just because they messed up with the race or the tactics. And in Europe, maybe sometimes we are a little bit inferior for a performance perspective, but then we can compensate a little bit with tactical strategies. Yeah, yeah. You can see it on the track too. I was impressed this year in Grosgero. Uh, there was I don't remember his name, but
Going,
there was a junior
nice.
a junior man who won both the elimination and the punt race, and it was really way faster than the others. And there were also extremely fast skaters. And then at the World Championship, he managed maybe just to race one race and maybe even didn't get in the top five. So yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah, yeah, they are really strong at trainings. It's just when I was in Asia, I always learn how to go stronger, but never know what to do in a race. And when I was in Europe, I was like, oh, they said you should do this. Why are they doing this? They always talk about tactics, and that's what I've never learned when I was in Asia. And I was so impressed, and I was like, oh, wow. That's why I really love when I was in Europe. I learned so much more. Yeah.
Yeah, and what about competition? I mean, of course, in Hong Kong, maybe it's one of the big problem is that you struggle maybe to find something somewhere or someone to race with. So how did you manage to get the experience with the races?
So, yes, so maybe I've been like skating for a while, but to be honest, I don't think I have a lot of, like in the past, I don't think I have a lot of experience of racing because, first of all, in Hong Kong, we don't have a place to race. So we only have 2 or 3 races a year. And all we have is besides that, we can go to China for some races, but only maybe like we can, because we're part of China, so we can do like the China Nationals.
Yeah.
And we also have Asian Championships, which is also like only once every 2 years. So basically, I don't have a lot of racing experiences. So so all my racing experience actually I just learned it from the last 2 to 3 years from being in Europe. So yes, that's a huge difference. Does that
Yeah.
make sense to you? So I
Yeah.
really didn't know in the past. I don't know what's going on. Even like watching Tour de France is not common in Asia. So basically, no one has a lot of tactics in mind. All they do is like, oh, I have to be strong. If fast, if you're the strongest, you're gonna be winning. It's like, but actually, when I was in Europe, I was like, okay, this is not true.
Not
So
always. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's your advice you would give to the Asian methods, let's say, and what is the advice for the Europeans from what you learn? I mean, you talk about the differences. If you want to, if you, I'd like to improve the level of skate worldwide. What can the Asian do better, and what can the European do better?
I think there's a lot of things of Asian can learn from the Europeans. So like first day, we don't have a lot of races in Asia. So all we have was like Asian championships once every 2 years. Maybe we have Asian games, but there's something similar, but also it's like once every 4 years, which has
Mhm.
also got kicked out by this year. We don't have Asian games this year. This
Why,
was
why
like
is that? Why is
sorry.
that? Why is that?
Uh, I think because this year Asian Games is gonna be happen in Japan,
Mhm.
and they put more I think more of support to the skateboarding instead of speed skating.
Ah, okay, 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 okay.
So there's a little pity if we are in the Asian Games again, then we're gonna be for every event. But this is not happening, so we're out. So we don't have a lot of races in Asia, and well, I know China trying to do more races. They have a lot of opens from last year. If you've seen it, I think that's a good start. But I think they need more promotion and more prize money for that for people to get a chance to race into it. I think yeah, that's the main thing that Asia have to learn from the Europeans. Yeah, you need to have more races so you gain more race experience instead of just being very strong the whole time but don't know what to do in the race.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, it's understandable. And what about the so in Europe you we should train more.
In Europe, I think is they know what they're doing. They have like quality of training. Like in
Okay.
Asia, you just have to train all the time. When I was in Taiwan, I don't know what I was doing. I was so tired. My mind was like a robot. But when I was in Europe, I was like, I know this is like a sprint section. I know this is like a long distance section. Then I know what's going on. Then at least I'm prepared for that. But when I was in Asia, all I know is I'm gonna train hard. I'm gonna die at the end. That's it. So I think Europe is they're doing fine. Don't worry.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What about coming back to your experiences? What's your best moment that you remember from skating?
To now. Okay.
Best
So I
memory.
think my best memory was 2023. So I spent a lot of time in Europe. I started racing more, and then it was a mind blown moment for me because I never like get to race or get to know how to train properly. And a lot of people helped me when I was in Belgium. And then it was my first time to take points in international race. Like in Asian championships, it's my very first time to take points. Because in my mind, in the past, like as an Asian, we always very being very conservative. Oh, Taiwanese, the Koreans are always better. You guys go first. You guys take the points. We're gonna stay behind. And at some point, I was like, okay, I think I can do it. So I went on attack. That was the very first time, but it was like wow moment for me. And yes, and then ever since, not just the crowd was like cheering for me, but also I can see it like from the coaches. They were like, this girl has trained something. And that's like one of my favorite moments of the whole career, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I think yeah, it's something every skater remember when the first time they do point. I remember the first time I made points in a points race. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite a great feeling. I mean, being on the lead of the race. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
something.
I never had the confidence myself, but then because of the training, because of the people, I was really grateful like I was able to do it and I was confident to do it. Does that make sense to you? Because like Asian
Yeah,
never
yeah.
have like a, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, confidence is one of the main focus of my training session with my athlete. I mean, it's
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a matter of who is more confident, who's tougher in the race, and not who's the fast one. Yeah, who's the fastest.
Yeah. That's what I've learned from the Europeans, and I'm really happy I've learned that and be able to do it.
Nice, amazing. Um, I think from this conversation, I'll take a very, let's say, a great experience on skates, a great person, and someone who really managed to make her passion something important. So I wish we can have more conversation like that. Maybe you can come over to Europe and we can join you in Hong Kong sometime.
Yes, you can. Yes, it's really difficult for me to come to Europe more often now. But you can always come to Hong Kong and experience such a small rink and how you get kicked out by the football court when you're
Nice.
skating the football court.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Nice. Thank you very much.